Hello and welcome. This is Math 14 at COD. The purpose of this video is to go over some of the basic parts of Canvas that you'll need to complete the course, to take a look at the syllabus, and just kind of give an overall introduction to the course. So taking a look first at Canvas when you log in. If you've used Canvas before already, just bear with me a few moments. Some of the kind of important things that you'll need, notice that it's organized into three columns, the red column to the left, then kind of uh, blue column in the left or in the middle and right side. So along the left side, the main thing that you'll need is account. Right here, you'll click on that to log out. Dashboard takes you to the screen showing your different courses in Canvas. Courses kind of also does the same thing. And then inbox, if you want to send messages through Canvas, you can do that. In the next column, home takes you to the screen that you're seeing right here. The way that I've set it up, modules does the exact same thing. Discussions, that's a place where you can go and communicate with your classmates. People, I'm not sure if that works for students or if only I can see them, but you can try it. You can see possibly the other people in the course. Everything else, we won't especially need, but you can click on it. In general, with Canvas, you won't break anything by clicking on it, so feel free to explore and look around. The most important part will be this kind of at the center of your screen piece. Right here, it says syllabus and getting started. Introduction, get here. That's the video that you're watching right now. The next thing we'll have is the syllabus, which we'll be going over here shortly. The next thing, My Math Lab registration instructions. My Math Lab is the software that we'll use to do the coursework, all the problems and so forth in our course. Um, um, I called it My Math Lab. Elsewhere, you'll see this called My Stat Lab. It's for all purposes, it's the same thing. You can use the terms interchangeably. Next video, introduction to My Stat Lab. See, I've switched it there too. It says use the course ID below. So when you log into Canvas, you may see a different course ID than the one that you are seeing here. You're going to want to use the one that is actually on your Canvas because it may have changed since I made this video, okay? And so another thing, a couple things that you'll notice in here is as far as navigation goes, when you see a block in Canvas, you'll notice to the left there's this little triangle that points downward. That means that it's a block that can be collapsed. If I click on that little triangle, you notice now the point of the triangle points to the right, and all of the things below that syllabus and getting started have gone away. So they're gone, and now they're back. If you want to be able to kind of see more stuff at once, you can close the blocks that you need. So for example, I'm going to close this helpful information block just for the moment. I think I'll close the office hours one too. Right, so the other thing that you may or may not have noticed is the little icons to the left of the text descriptions give you a hint of what the format of each item is like. Here, the introduction start here that you clicked on to access this. To the left looks like chain links. That's an external link. It takes you outside of Canvas. The things that look like paper clips take you to a document. In my case, they're PDF files. So the blue here, those are links to videos, syllabus, and My Math Lab registration instructions. Those are text files. The course ID, there's nothing to click on there. It's just there for you to read. So we'll be going over the syllabus here in a minute, but seeing a little bit more on Canvas. Under helpful information, if you take a look there, that is mostly handouts. A lot of times people have a difficult time with math courses, and some of the handouts here can help you with that, with things like preparing for tests or dealing with test anxiety and things of that sort. So you could read through those. Also, at the end, there are two videos. There's one on how to make a practice test and one on how to use a practice test. Take a look through any of those materials. Let me know if you find any of that especially helpful or maybe anti-helpful. If it made things worse, I would also like to know that too. So there's some helpful information there. Take a look at that. I have office hours, as we'll talk about on the syllabus. They're in person on the Palm Desert campus, and also I have it set up so that they'll be on Zoom. And if you're accessing them via Zoom, it'll be through this link. So they're Monday and Thursday, 11 to 12, and then Tuesday and Wednesday, 11 to 12:30. So that's that. Of course, you're welcome to come to the in-person office hours for sure. Okay, then the content for the course. So far I have chapters 1 through 3 available. And the way that this is set up, there's right now notes for sections 1, and 1, 2. And then there are links to lectures on that that follow. And then you'll see notes for 1.3, a lecture on 1.3, notes for 2.1, lecture on 2.1, and so on, all the way up through the end of chapter 3. And then as we proceed, more items will become available. The overall plan for how you should probably proceed for the course is read through the notes and then watch the videos and then try the problems, as we'll discuss. So the main ways that you'll need to interact with Canvas, look at the syllabus when you need to, and then beyond that, you'll be going through the lecture sections, reading the notes and watching the videos. That's the primary ways that you'll interact with Canvas. Okay, back up to the syllabus and getting started block. We're currently watching the Introduction to Start Here video. We're about to take a look at the syllabus. This document on creating the My Math Lab account, you can take a look at that. And then there's also a video on setting up that account, some of the important features of My Math Lab, also known as My Stat Lab. And then once again, as a reminder, take a look on your Canvas and see what the course ID is. You're going to want to use whatever one appears there, not necessarily this 829281 that you're seeing right now. Okay, if you have a question about that, send me an email or a Canvas message and I'll help set you right. All right, so next thing we're going to do is take a look at the syllabus. See. All right, so I'm the instructor, Dan Kleinfelter. I have an email address as shown. You can send me emails or Canvas messages, or if you like, messages through my Stat Lab, but email is probably best, email or Canvas message. I have office hours on the Palm Desert campus in MSTC 246E. Those are Mondays and Thursdays, 11 to 12, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 11 to 12:30. And then additionally, they will be on Zoom. The link for that, as we saw, is on Canvas. Okay, content for the course. There's some technical terminology in here that we're not going to, of course, get into because we're here to learn that. But basically, it's the first part is okay. The descriptive and inferential statistics, that's what this is about. Of course, it's a statistics course. You're going to learn statistics, but what is that? There's two basically halves to statistics. There's a descriptive half and an inferential half. The descriptive half has to do with how you can use tools that we're going to learn to describe sets of data. Visual things like how to make charts and diagrams and scatter plots and pictures of data sets, and then also numerical measures like the average, which you've all heard of, mean, median, and mode as ways of describing the middle of a data set, something called the standard deviation and variance and range, which are ways of describing how variable a data set is. Just in short, ways of describing a set of data that you have. The second half, more like 2/3, the later 2/3 of the course, will be on the inferential half of statistics. And what that is about how you can use a set of data that you have to make some sort of inference, hence the name, or guess or decision about a general, what's called population, based on a sample. So in short, a nice example. Let's say that you wanted to know the average number of, or the number of people living in a household in your hometown. So you could survey people outside of your grocery store as they come out and just ask them, okay, hey, how many people live with you? And then write it down. Okay, so for one thing, there's some complicating issues there. Which grocery store do you use? If you sit outside of a Food for Less, you're going to get potentially a different scope or set of answers than if you're sitting outside of a Jensen's or Albertsons or Stater Brothers. You could potentially get different answers. So that has to do with something called sampling, which we'll deal with in the first 3 chapters. But assuming you have a good sample, let's say that you sit outside one afternoon and poll or survey 100 people, and it turns out that the average number of people living in a household is 3. Let's just say. So now it could be that the average number of people in your whole city actually is a 3, But maybe it isn't. It could be that you happen to get a different sample due to chance. And so we talk about probability in chapter 4, which is about chance or likelihood of things happening. And the later parts have to do with making decisions about the population as a whole based on the results of a sample. So why do sampling at all? You do sampling because it's either impossible or too expensive to check an entire population. Going back to our example, if you wanted to know how many people lived in a household in your hometown, you could ask every single household, but you'd have to hire a lot of people to do that. Also, you may get people who are like on vacation or out of town or something, you're not able to get their information. So it might be impossible or just really expensive to actually poll everybody. So we'll select some. Okay, and so that's the idea behind sampling. Another example of sampling is or use of sampling is sometimes the testing destroys the object. So let's say that you're in charge of quality control for a burger restaurant. You can't exactly go through and take a bite out of every single burger, right? Because that nobody would want to buy them. So instead, you could take one every 15 minutes and cut it open and make sure it's done inside, right? Similarly, crash testing cars. You can't crash test every single car before it's sold, of course. So some cars are selected and crashed to see how they do. All right, that's the idea of sampling. And then based on the results of what happened in the sample, we make some sort of a decision about a population. In short, that's what the class is about. All the rest of it is formulas and terminology and procedures that we learn how to answer these questions. All right, moving on to our syllabus here. Prerequisites for the course, Math 45 or 49 are qualifying placement. So that would be basically an intermediate algebra course. COD up until recently had two kinds. You don't need to worry about the distinction between the two. The algebra that you need, or the math kind of that you need for this course, is primarily being able to do like order of operations. Like if I give you a formula and some numbers, can you plug the numbers into the formula, put that in your calculator and get an answer? Some of that later on, equations of lines, reading numbers out of a table is useful. Reading a graph, X and Y axes, things like that. Things you won't need to know how to do. You won't need to know anything about parabolas. You won't need to know anything about factoring, long division of polynomials, how to solve word problems in algebra, all that sort of thing you won't need. The primary thing, the main thing that you'll need is here's this formula, here's some numbers, plug in the formula and calculate, get an answer. Okay, if you have a question about the prerequisite, whether you're prepared for the class, let me know and we can talk about it and see where you are. There's an advisory of English 1A. We don't write short stories or essays or anything in this class, but there's some narrative descriptions of how to do certain procedures. A lot of the problems are word problems, so essentially you need to be able to read and pull important information out of some text. That's the main thing that English 1A is used for. There's also an advisory co-requisite of Math 310. The fact that it's an advisory means that it's advised but not required. Math 310 is essentially a non-credit support course for statistics. You can enroll in that and it is intended to support you in this class and help you to be successful. More information about that can be obtained from the college catalog or from your counselor. I can tell you that it is a non-credit course, so you don't earn units, and I don't believe there's any cost to it either. Okay. Continuing on, format of the course, the class is obviously online, but additionally it's asynchronous, which means that there are no online lectures that are live. Okay, I have to log in at 9:30 every day to get on Zoom and watch a lecture. It's not like that. All of the lectures are just like this, where you log into Canvas and you click a button and you watch a pre-recorded video. That's basically how that goes. You can proceed at your own pace as long as you meet due dates, but you don't have to get on the computer at a certain time every day. Office hours, of course, are live. Okay, if you join my office hours at that time, it's a live thing. All right, important thing to note, we're using my math lab or equivalently my stat lab to get our work done. As CODs in Southern California, we're Pacific time, so you need to kind of adjust for that if you're on vacation. Recently, I had some students who had taken a trip and they were in like Utah, and so for them, the times were all different. So you need to adjust for that if you're outside of California. Okay. If you have a question about that, let me know. Time commitment for the course, that's going to depend on a lot of things. It depends on you as a student and your interest in aptitude and your background, and also what part of the course we're in. Some of this stuff is just harder than other stuff. Chapter 4 will probably be a little bit harder for some people than Chapter 2. Chapter 6 will be hard for a lot of people. Chapter 7 will be a little bit easier. It just depends on what we're doing. But overall, you should plan to spend about 8 hours a week on this class, aside from the time spent watching the videos. The video lectures are to take place of being in class, if this were an in-person class. And the part aside from that, the 8 hours that I'd mentioned would be like your study time, doing homework time. And again, that is just a guideline. If you find that you're spending like 0 or 1 hour a week and not getting the grade you want, try adding more time. On the other hand, if you find that you're spending like 15 hours a week in the computer lab and another 12 hours at home, then probably we should talk about that too, because that sounds kind of excessive. All right, so that's a rough guideline on the time commitment. Okay, our textbook, Elementary Statistics, 14th edition with My Math Lab Access by Triola. The course ID is on Canvas. We saw that earlier. You're going to need My Math Lab in order to get the work done. That's the software. Whether you have a paper copy of the textbook or not is totally up to you. I won't even know if you have the book. So it's totally up to you whether you get the book. You can get the code itself for My Math Lab directly from the publisher if you want, or you can get it all bundled together from the bookstore. Grading for our course, we'll have 3 exams worth 15% of your grade each. We'll be covering approximately 9 chapters in the book, and so we'll have basically 3 tests per chapter is how it'll work out, approximately. 45% of your grade there in tests. Homework done on My Math Lab, 20% of your grade. We'll have quizzes worth 12% of your grade, more on that in a little bit. Participation and discussion questions, usually that's pretty easy to earn, and that's 3% of your grade. And then finally, a final 20% of your grade at the very end of the semester. So going back over some of this, the homework and quizzes are done on my Math Lab. The quizzes, I do give you 2 attempts, and out of the 2 attempts, the better of the 2 counts. You'll see more of this when we do My Math Lab video. Okay, participation and discussion questions. Participation, I measure that based on logging into My Math Lab in Canvas and getting the work done. And then discussion questions, I may post questions into Canvas for us to answer, and then you reply to those. And like I said, it's fairly easy to earn that 3%. Okay, exams will be scheduled in advance, and I plan to have them occur on Thursdays. There may be some times where they don't, but I will let you know. You'll have at least 90 minutes to complete the exam on that day. I may make it longer than 90 minutes, but it will be at least 90 minutes. You'll have a week's notice that the test is coming. Like I said, they're going to be about every 3 chapters. So you'll know when we hit near the end of chapter 3, and then probably the end of chapter 5, and then chapter 7 will have another test. So approximately every 3 chapters. Okay, but I'll let you know about a week in advance. Exams are due at midnight, 11:59 p.m., and again, that's Pacific time. You need to start earlier to have the full time. So for example, if I give you 90 minutes for the test, you'll need to start by 10:30. Because the test will shut off at 11:59 p.m. If you get on there at 11:30, you're going to have a half an hour for the test. You won't be able to log in at 11:30 and work till 1 a.m. The test will like shut off at midnight. So make sure to account for that and start not like at the last minute. Make sure to give yourself the due time minus the amount of time you have for the test, so like 10:30. If you have a question about the timing for the test, let me know. The final exam is on Thursday, December 12th. For the final, you'll have 2 hours for the test. I would note that on your calendar now because there's no makeups for missed work, especially the final exam, so you don't want to miss that. None of the exams, including the final, can be taken early or late. If you miss one of the first 3 exams, that is one of the ones out of that 45%, then I'll replace that score with whatever you earn on the final. But you do need to contact me on or before the day of the missed test. If you just vanish for like a week and then write me and say, hey, I missed our test from like a week ago, I'm not going to do that replacement for you. So make sure to contact me on that day or the day before, ideally, if possible. Only one test is going to be replaced in that way. If you miss 2, then the second one will count as a 0. So try not to miss more than one test. Okay, your grade is determined by your overall performance as a weighted average. You need essentially 90 for an A, 80 for a B, 70 for a C, and so on. COD doesn't do plus minus grading. It's just letters A's, B's, C's, D's, and F's. There's no extra credit in our course, so try to do as well as you can the first time. I think that grading should be based on your performance in the class, so I don't give any kind of extra credit for just needing the class to transfer, graduate, having taken it before, scholarships, being an international student, sick family members, being on a sports team, sick pets, car trouble, or anything like that. Okay, it's all based on you, and I think that's most fair. Okay, homework is on my math lab. Make sure to check the due dates regularly. You may want to get a calendar for your classes or just this class to mark down due dates. A scientific calculator is sufficient. A lot of the work that we will do will be on the software that's built into my math lab. You can also use Excel. If you're good with spreadsheets, you can also use Excel for it. Some of the things we do, you can use a scientific calculator for. If you have trouble deciding on what calculator is good for the course, let me know and we can talk about it. Okay, let's see what else. Attendance, I don't count attendance in your grade. In a class like this online, what I mean by attendance is logging into Canvas, watching lectures, logging into my math lab, doing the work on my math lab, looking at discussion questions and replying. All of that I count as attendance. However, attendance doesn't count towards your grade or against it. However, people who do those things, watch lectures, do the work in my math lab, participate in discussions, people who do that stuff tend to do better. You may be dropped from the class if you don't do work in my math lab for 4 or more consecutive days. So sometimes people in an online class tend to just kind of disappear. And if I feel that you've disappeared by not doing any work for 4 or more days, I may end up dropping you from the course. If you have some reason why you're not going to be able to get this done, this being an online class, there's a lot of flexibility. But if you're, I don't know, somewhere that there's no internet, let's say, just let me know and tell me that you intend to still participate in the class, and then I'll keep you in the roster. Okay. If you have questions about attendance, let me know. Classroom conduct. For conduct, basically, the student code of conduct in the college catalog is our guideline. Other than that, basically be honest and civil and courteous to one another, you and your classmates. In discussion forums, you want to be polite and use academic or work appropriate language. If multiple people are in my office hours, we're going to take turns. So pretty basic stuff. Students with disabilities, read through that and let me know if any of that applies to you. Academic integrity, basically don't cheat in the class. There's no extra credit in the class. We talked about that. Do your best the first time. It's very tough to catch up once you are behind. That's true in a lot of classes, especially in math and also in this class. There's some things that are not, let me re-say that. There are some things that are independent. So if you are maybe a little hazy on chapters 1 and 2, then that's not going to really affect chapter 3 too much. If you didn't 100% get chapter 4 parts of it, then that's not going to hurt you too much in chapter 7. But there are some things that are really dependent. For example, chapter 6, if you don't get chapter 6, you're going to have a tough time for the whole rest of the semester. So try not to get behind. If you feel that you are getting behind, you want to get help as soon as possible so that you can try to stay on top. It's really hard to catch up once you start feeling really lost. Okay, some overall advice. A lot of people find math and statistics challenging. There's theory involved, specific words with specific meanings, special symbols and terminology and things. A lot of word problems. A lot of statistics is word problems because it's kind of applicable to everyday experience. So a lot of times people don't like that. Here's some suggestions to try to make this easier and make it more likely that we'll do well in the course. Try to work on statistics every day. With a class like this that is asynchronous, it's more up to you to make sure that you stay on top of things. And it's also very easy to just let it go for like 5 or 6 days and get to it on the weekend or something. But then it's kind of hard to get back on. Also, it can be intimidating if you're planning on getting on the computer Saturday and doing like 5 sections of homework. That can be like intimidating and demoralizing to think I have this mountain of work to do. You're better off trying to do it little by little. It's less kind of intimidating that way. Try to maintain a positive attitude, regardless of your feeling about the subject. Maybe you like it, hopefully you do. But even if you don't, if you maintain a positive attitude about working towards a goal that you've set for yourself, then that can help the experience feel more positive. I plan for you to read the book and watch the lectures. If you just get on my math lab and just try doing problems, it's not going to go probably as well as you would like. Try to do some reading and definitely watch the videos. You need to practice. That basically is the key to success in math and statistics is practicing. So that takes us to the end of the syllabus. If you have any questions about the grading, how your grade's calculated, when or where the office hours are, the things you need to buy for the course, or anything of that nature, then let me know. And again, welcome to the course. And if you have any questions, let me know. Have a great day.